You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene. Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's Attack on Titan After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Attack on Titan After Show.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Attack on Titan After Show. I'm Dave Clyde, and joining me today,
it's John Quick, and as you guys can clearly see, this episode of the After Show will be very much like a certain famous festival in the city of Vienna. What I'm saying is...
what festival is this?
Well, what I'm saying is that it'll be like the second most popular pizza topping of all time.
Number one most popular is obviously pepperonis, right?
Yes,
okay,
pepperoni, but number two is
good.
quite...
Sausage.
That is correct. We got a whole sausage party going on this episode.
I mean, the girls were killed off, really.
No, they're at Comic-Con.
They were scared off, and they're at Comic-Con.
Yeah, they're at Comic-Con enjoying themselves. Thanks, Katie, Megan, just, leading us, holding the bag right here.
Yeah, that's okay. You know what? Honestly, with Comic-Con, you can get all the announcements, even more announcements, by going online. Really?
And watching the panels.
Yeah,
you don't
and
even
watching
have
the panels.
We're not bitter. That's all I'm saying. Not bitter at all.
Not at all. So let's go ahead and talk about an episode called Wound, because we don't feel wounded at all.
Not in the slightest bit.
Not in the slightest bit.
Megan, Katie.
I'm just gonna stare. Okay, so the Titans have been corralled into a corner. This is kind of like things that we found out last time, but apparently 20% of the soldiers have died off camera.
Or they said they've suffered losses, which might mean looked like that those included wounded, but whatever it is, like they're 20%.
20%.
It's 20% of their fighting forces down. That's a good amount.
Especially considering we haven't seen any of that either. So that's just all of a sudden new information. Like, oh, I thought everything was good, and now there's just 20% somehow out.
Well, it was a risky proposition they were going for. Like, even though they weren't attacking, like actually engaging in combat with the Titans, their main job was to just lead them. And as we saw, like at least last episode, part of that is like, okay, stand here until they get uncomfortably close, then run. Like, so of course, some guy, like they're gonna go, all right, on three, 1, 2, 3.
No!
Wait, is that on 3 or after? Duck.
Yeah, or 1, 2, and then
Yeah.
that's already too late. But Commander Pixis has a good line where he talks about that he's okay with being called a butcher if they succeed. That it's worth it. He'd rather be called a butcher if he can save humanity.
Yeah, he's bet a lot on this offensive, and he's just like, you know what, the history books can call me a butcher. I don't care. If we actually succeeding here is the important part.
Right. So I think that's a good line from him.
Yeah.
And yeah, so really shows his mindset that he's really all about that overall, again, the chess game strategy, when we see very back from the beginning that you have to put the pawns out and take your losses to eventually win the overall match.
Well, not only that, not only does he know how to play the chess game, you also saw that he knows how to play the political game, and this is in part of it. He knows that if they can actually pull off the victory here today, that not only is that going to be, an actual combat victory, but it's going to be a moral victory. Like, it doesn't matter how many people they lose, they retook territory that has never been done in the 100-year history of this war.
Yeah, well, especially since like every time you ever see the soldiers, they're like, what am I fighting for? What am I fighting for? And this will finally give a purpose to it if this succeeds. But back in the other front, Eren not doing too hot there with Mikasa trying to talk reason to him.
I think this is just repressed anger. I mean, Mikasa is always butting in. She's better at him at killing Titans. This is just some, like, repressed rage just coming out.
That's what I was thinking when she was like, Eren, don't you recognize me? I'm like, what if he's like, Mikasa, damn it, no!
Yeah, I recognize you, and it's time for a bitch slap.
Poof. Doesn't quite hit there.
Doesn't, like, misses both shots.
I mean, it's like she's like a fly, It's like you punch and she's already gone.
Which, Which again, like they were going forward with this topic. Even Aaron had said, "I can't guarantee that this is going to work." Like everybody knew that there was an even chance that shit was going to hit the fan. I mean, what did we see him as before? He was just in all rage mode. That's just all he was. And I guess like he transformed into a Titan again. He just went back into rage mode.
Yeah, and so most of the team outside of Ian at this point, they're all asking Ian, "Hey, let's get out of here. This didn't work. We need to leave. Just ditch Aaron. Get out of this place."
But that's after Mikasa gets right up in Aaron's face, and then Aaron proceeds to punch himself in the face, giving, credence to Katie. Katie, I'm sorry, but you're not here, so I get to use this line. The all-famous "quit hitting yourself." Aaron, quit hitting yourself. Quit hitting yourself. Bam!
I mean, the reason she loves this so much is because of the Bridge series.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure, because I think you watched the one that she didn't watch, so...
Yeah, I watched Team 4 Stars, not...
She watched the other one, and she,
Attack and
that's
Bridge,
why she loves that so much. But, I was trying to lead you up to that by being like, it's like swatting a fly. I kept on trying to, like, make it so I could give you there.
Well, I missed the setup,
so I decided, like, okay, I guess you don't want to say it.
No, I do.
We'll move on.
I had to get back to it, but let's... All right, fine. Continue on, Monsignor.
I tried. So basically everyone wants to get the hell out. They're like, except for everyone. Rika and Rico and Mitabi, thank you. Mitabi. They want to get out. They're like, let's just leave Aaron and get out of here.
Well, Ian's not even doing anything. Like, he's kind of standing there shell-shocked, and at least Rico's doing something. She sent up the red flare, which I guess was just like, either it was like a call of distress or mission aborted. I'm not sure what that one was supposed to be, but everybody saw it, and Pixis didn't immediately go, "Oh, well, mission's aborted."
Right. Yeah, so I assume that it must... I was wondering the same thing in my head, and I was assuming, like, I guess it must not be mission aborted, because otherwise Pixis would have been like, "Oh, well, that means they failed." So it must have just been... I guess my thought was it means trouble.
Yeah.
If you shoot one flare, so maybe if they shot another red flare, it means something else.
Or they had the yellow flare. Maybe the yellow flare was mission aborted?
I don't know. I think they had a green flare with them.
But I think the green flare would
that would be succeed. But yeah, so I'd assume by the way that Pixis was reacting that it meant there was trouble, but that didn't mean it was a complete failure yet.
Yeah, I think what he was thinking, because they were up on the wall, and all of his underlings are telling him, it's like, we need to abandon this, we need to retreat, and he goes back to his, no, screw that, we are proceeding as planned. I'm going to let those guys actually in the field make the call. If they come back here, we retreat. And until that time, you're going to stand up here like the good little meat puppets that you are, and we're going to blast these things in the face.
But Pixis denying the retreat there, which again, he's all for 100% in, as he says. He's all in or nothing.
Yeah, as soon as he started this gambit, he had to know there's no backing out. Like, what do you tell your superiors? It's like, so I found this kid who can transform into a Titan, and we kind of tried something, but it didn't really work, and 20% of my men got lost. Like, no, you have to commit to this, because it's just a crazy ass idea. If this doesn't succeed, you might as well just cut off your own head, because that's what's going to happen at your military tribunal.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, you're right. He just for political reasons has to be all in. So back to team or basically Ian and all of them.
I guess the elites we can call them.
Yeah, the elites. So Mikasa comes and she wants to stay because she thinks there's no way we could leave Aaron, and Ian ends up coming to a decision, which is that this kid over here, he is our only hope, and he's the only one of us who's not expendable. So there's nobody else that we know who can transform into a Titan.
Which is a shocking thing, because everyone's like just talking about killing him. We got to get rid of him. Like he's dangerous, and this guy automatically goes, no. He is not expendable. He's the most important asset we have. Like so far, the only persons that have actually made that revelation have been Pixis and now this guy.
It's pretty refreshing to see that as well. Someone be like, oh no, this is actually a pretty big deal. Outside of Mikasa and Armin who realized before, but like actual elites realizing like this is actually a really big deal.
Or a guy just thinking past the immediate, because he's seeing the future. This operation fails, fine. But we learn more about this, and we can do something else with this. Like, this is not the end all. It's not like, oh, it fucked up, and we're just gonna abandon this super weapon.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so he actually does some real critical thinking, gets into Rico's face about how, like, well, hey, you want to retreat, but do you have any better ideas for the future where we have literally zero hope? Because at least this right here is something, which is better than nothing. And she admits that she's got no better plan, so she goes along with it, and they end up going into this defensive to basically defend him until they can somehow extract Eren.
Because as this is happening, there's like, what, a 10-meter, a 6-meter, and a 12-meter Titan are all advancing, and he's basically like, split up and guard him. Like, I don't know what's going on, but we need to stall for time.
Right. And meanwhile, Connie, brief moment where Connie's doubting if they're making the right decision. He's kind of speaking for a lot of the soldiers. The typical soldier of like, well, is this right that we're just standing here dying when the red flare went up?
Yeah, and then Armin like notices the red flare and like takes off.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's time for somebody to add logic to the situation, so we need the brain to come in and
Ian had some at least.
Yeah, Ian had some.
At least some.
But Armin's job is to be the thinker, the strategy. He's the one who came up with this entire strategy, so
right.
A lot of it hinges on him as well.
So yeah, so it's a good thing that he is heading back. And yeah, then Jean, it's funny to me, it was funny in this moment with Connie, how quickly Connie just turned around when Jean said basically just not much. Connie at first is like, this is a terrible idea, why are we all going out to our deaths? And Jean says one minor thing, and Connie's like, okay, I believe you.
Well, Connie's not the brightest. We've already established that.
Yeah, that's true. It was just it was funny because it was such a quick turnaround. Like, okay.
Yeah. But what, like, that team of Connie, Jean, Annie, and Elite C, which basically means red shirt.
Yeah.
Like,
that was the subtitle, by the way. It was just Elite C for that.
So
character. Obviously
this guy's not gonna last long. They were going back out to lure more Titans back to the wall, like, because they noticed that, like, as Eren's like just kind of like sitting there up against the rock, like not really healing for some odd reason, that there are more Titans pouring in, so they're trying to relieve the pressure on the Elite team.
Right, so we get that group going and heading out. And then, for some reason, somehow all of them die except for the ones we know. Connie, Jean, and Annie. So, never would have saw that coming.
No, not with Elite C. I mean, that guy, just right out of the gate, like, you knew, just through his name, that guy had a family. He had people that depended on him, He was a badass.
And when he comes home, his wife greets him and goes, honey, Elite C, I'm glad to see you home.
And I'm glad to see you, wife B.
Don't know how those ended up together. It was a surprise to everybody.
Where's Child D and Child F? And Child D is dead.
Were
he died of the plague.
Born from parent A?
Perhaps.
This just got weird. So they're gone, and then on this end, and we'll come back to Armin in his end, but in this end of the fight, Jean is now, they're all trying to escape, and they're kind of on their own. And Jean finally opens up and is like, maybe I should stop being a piece of shit and start doing the right thing and helping people out. When he has an equipment malfunction.
Yeah, well, like, leading up to this, I am tired of people dying because of my mistakes.
Yeah.
So, like, he's starting to, like, really sack up here, and then just in that moment, worst possible thing for you to happen. You have a Titan right on your tail, a Titan approaching in front of you, and your 3D maneuvering gear has just decided to crap out.
Yep, that would be the most terrifying thing of all things happen. You don't have any blades? Okay, at least you can escape, but this is no escape.
Yeah.
But he does see, as his portion is, that there's a dead soldier who has more 3D maneuvering gear that presumably you'd imagine that's what he's going to go for. And we also see that Annie and Connie notice that he's in trouble.
Yeah. And which, like, he's hiding in a house. And we've kind of, like, I've always kind of wondered, like, why more people couldn't get away with hiding in houses or hiding in, like, underground, and, like, that's how they could avoid the Titans, but...
Yeah, I wonder that, too. I mean, sometimes you see Titans smash their face up to windows and punch through houses, but it's not that often.
Yeah, it's like Titans have this instinctive sixth sense, like, they just know where humans are. Like, it's either a smell or it's, like, some kind of psychic thing, but they know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, where they are.
So they just need to start building more basements. And that's really what they need to do, build more basements.
So, have like a sunken lunch box. Like that just seems to be like a worse idea. All right, we're gonna hide in this basement, and then they're gonna punch through the floor and just like reach for you. It's like it's like a Kinder Surprise, only not an egg. And that analogy doesn't work at all.
I was with you at first. Well, maybe. It's just like, I mean, we've never seen them do that too, but I guess there's no reason they couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, the closest thing that we have seen is like when they were in the HQ and those Titans like face bashed through the wall to find them, and then they said, "Oh my God, there's too many of us in here. They know that we're in here." Yeah,
but yeah, just like, I don't know, like an underground bunker. We've never heard of them even think of that. But,
yeah. Well, they don't think of a lot of things.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
They're advanced in some ways, like 3D maneuvering gear, and very unadvanced in a lot of thinking ways.
Well, again, nobody, like, the only people that we've seen think beyond the immediate have been, so far, Ian, Pixis, and Armin. That's 3 characters in this entire thing.
This isn't an advanced civilization we're talking about here.
Yeah, not critical thinking is not a, apparently a needed asset in this world.
It's not something they teach in their schools. Yeah. No. So back to Armin. Armin actually makes it to Eren, and he starts, and as Mikasa's watching him, Armin comes up with the idea of, like, well, first he's like, hey, what the hell's going on? And then after finding out, he decides, we need to cut Eren out. And we now know, I mean, just from everything we've seen, the nape of the neck is how you kill a Titan, and we've seen Eren emerge from that spot. So he's like, as long as I don't do it right in the spot where you would cut out to kill a Titan, we can try and cut out a slice to cut Eren out.
Yeah, and going into Eren, like, while he's inside the Titan, he's in this weird dream world, like, where he's back at his home with his family. His mom and dad are still alive. Mikasa, like, they're back to being like 9 or 10 years old in this, like, not a flashback, it's a dream. And he can hear Armin like yelling at him to wake up, but he's just like, why would I want to do that? I'm tired. What's going on? He's like in this ideal life, which just kind of makes me wonder, is that how all of the Titans are perceiving the world?
Oh, that's a good question. I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's a good thought, because maybe. Because, yeah, he doesn't have any clue. But, I mean, he's also sitting subconscious, so I wonder what his vision is when he's actually moving around and doing things.
Yeah, like that would be an interesting thing to see. I mean, of course, we don't get to see it this time around, but we get some kind of insight into what being inside a Titan is. We can't, like, 100% know that all the other Titans, like, have, like, people or anything like that inside them. I mean, it's fairly clear that they don't. Otherwise, you would find human remains, like, at that point that gets cut out.
Right, you imagine. But then we haven't seen what happens if Eren gets killed, so we really don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
What happens if Eren were to get cut there. But Armin does end up strapping himself to Eren's back and stabbing into it, or and luckily just missing Eren.
Yeah, just basically
barely
grazed his arm or something like that, cut him there.
Yeah, and it's also an interesting look, and we get to really see like how it works with, again, we find out more about how Titans work, that there really is just a person lodged in that spot there. So that is why that nape of the neck seems to be the killing point, which really brings up a lot of questions about the other Titans.
Yeah.
But regardless, this actually wakes up Eren and slightly wakes him up.
Yeah, he's hearing Armin, like, speak to him basically through the blade, and then in his little dream world, like, Armin is banging on the window, yelling at him, to wake up, to get his ass moving.
Yeah, and nothing's working. Like, he talks about the mom thing, and in Eren's ideal world, his mom is alive, so that doesn't get him going. But the one thing that finally does is talking about the outside world. And that dream of, like, hey, remember, we wanted to see the Arctic, we wanted to see the desert, we wanted to see all these amazing places, and that's what finally gets him going.
And Armin talking about, it's like, my parents died for that dream. Like, so we did know that Armin was raised by his grandfather, his grandparents, and his parents went outside the wall, possibly without authorization, because I don't think they were part of the Scout Legion, and their dream was to actually, I'm not sure, like, what exactly their dream was, like, to just go outside the wall and come back, or was it to just, like, actually flee outside the wall altogether?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? So hopefully that's some motivation we'll find in future chapters or episodes to come. But yeah, that's something that all we know is that they were fascinated by the outside world, and for some reason they died. It could have been the government. It could have been because they actually went outside and died, or maybe Armin's just presuming they're dead.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you know, if they just, like, went outside the wall, yeah, like, death is pretty much almost a guarantee, unless they had, even if they had, like, fast horses. Like, we've seen that the Titans can find you no matter where you are. They just know where you're at.
Yeah, they're good at that, as we keep on establishing.
Yeah.
But with this speech, this is finally what gets Eren going, and he finally realizes that was really his dream, was to see the outside world. He considers it his birthright, and then he turns Super Saiyan, and then everything goes Dragon Ball Z.
I'm not sure if Super Saiyan is the right word. Like, he goes, like, all of a sudden he lights the fires of insanity. Like, he's standing, and then the room behind him gets blazed in an inferno that burns away his mom, Mikasa, and his dad, and the place is just on fire, and he has, you know, Eren's usual, like, rage face going.
Yeah, with the shadow eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just the fact that there's that aura around him. That's what reminded me of the DBZ thing. And then you kill your whole family.
Yeah.
Also, DBZ.
It is a little bit like, I don't know. No, yeah, maybe a little bit like DBZ.
I don't think they killed their own family ever, unless there's an episode I never saw.
Yeah, and that's, I guess it's like, that's just where we end, and coming back to, I guess we're gonna, you know, shovel back into that as soon as we get.
The episode where Goku finally has had it with Chi-Chi and just raised blazes in Super Saiyan, the whole house blows up, and Gohan and Chi-Chi go.
I definitely missed that episode.
I don't know how you missed that one. That was one of the best episodes.
Wow, that's
it's really
shocking
dark.
To me. Yeah, it sounds like.
So anyways, yeah, that does wrap up the Attack on Titan episode. So guys, thank you so much for joining us this week. Next week, Katie and Megan will be back, unless somehow there's another Comic-Con that we don't know of, that they just all of a sudden disappeared to.
Yeah, and I believe, unfortunately, Sword Art Online will not be on after us this week, and unfortunately, neither will Legend of Korra, because, you know, no, I don't think anybody for Sword Art is here. And, you know, Legend of Korra, I pitched them the idea of me jumping across this table several times, but with, like, you know, disguises on either end. But you should have seen just the dumbfounded look that Steven had. It was so just embarrassed for me that I just kind of quietly backed away.
Man, like, I don't know why. That sounds like a brilliant idea. It sounds very Legend of Korra to me.
I mean, you can totally...
sound like maybe you're like a bender. You bend your way over.
Yeah, I mean, just an equal chance that you know, I could keep that up for an hour. That wouldn't get stupid.
Not at all. All right, guys. Once again, I'm Dave Klein. You can find me on Twitter at @TheDaveKlein. That is Klein.
And you can find me on Twitter at @NowQuick.
And we'll see you guys next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.